So, how exactly do you make your CV stand out if you're a woman working in a male-dominated field? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you a few top tips on how to do just that. Get your resume noticed by the guys for all the right reasons. And if you watch this video to the end, I'll give you an additional link to ensure that your CV stands out when artificial intelligence, or the bots, are actually doing the initial scanning. So first, let's look at a few straightforward ways to make your CV ensure that essentially it doesn't get lost in the pile. So the first thing is to know your audience. Think about who is going to read your CV because it will be touched by many hands. And if you're applying for a job in a male-dominated field and it passes the bots, well, it's likely to be read mostly by the guys. So feature your time very much on brevity and quantification, and also use a lot of action verbs. Now, most guys I know tell me that they often stop reading carefully after page 1 because by then they've already started to make up their mind about that person. Number 2, focus on your numbers. So how does your work contribute to making money, saving money, or reducing risk? Risk, as we all know, is a very costly element of business and one that people don't often quantify. Now, let's be honest, you may not have the exact numbers to hand, but get as close as you can and use approximations where appropriate. Now, this may take the most time when it comes to writing your CV, but it is totally worth it. As an employer myself, I've hired people who could explain exactly how they achieved a 70% conversion rate over someone who said that they simply helped create a healthy sales pipeline. The third is lights, camera, action verbs. So make sure you've covered those action verbs really well. Led, directed, hired, managed, created, instituted. Now, I would personally love a bigger range of verbs to count, but until your CV is read by equal numbers of men and women, err on the side of more masculine sounding action verbs. Fourth, focused on your point, your part essentially, of your current team's wins. Now, while everyone knows that achievements in any job are usually a team effort, use I in the way that you talk about your qualifications. Give them an idea of how you specifically contributed to the much bigger picture. Now, I know that this can feel icky, and I do think icky is the scientific word for it, but let's be very clear. They're not hiring or promoting your whole team. It's you they want alone. Which takes us to our covering letters. The people who stand out, they personalize that letter way beyond to whom it may concern, or I'd like to think I'm a good fit for this role. I personally have thrown out CVs that start with my favorite in the covering letter, Dear Sir. You can imagine how much I love those in particular. We're not a big team, so take a guess as to who's likely to be reading your covering letter, because this is your first opportunity to show that you've done your homework on them. Name drop if appropriate, perhaps as to the person who recommended you for the role or someone in their company that you admire. 6, demonstrate that you've read the job description really well. Quote examples from your own work, specific projects if you can, on how your experience or values are exactly aligned to what they're looking for. This also might include your extracurricular activities. This will enable you to show them the whole person that they'd be lucky enough to be getting if they hire you. We want people that are cool and interesting, so show them who you are, because actually people start forming an impression in their mind before they have even finished looking at your CV. So incorporate these tips into your CV, and they're bound to help get you remembered as a woman working in a male-dominated field. Now, this video is a snippet from my 6-part series for coaching clients. Now, if you would be interested in executive coaching aimed at women in male-dominated fields, please follow the link in the comments section below to find out about our Pathway to Promotions program. And as promised, I'll now give you the link to our video in helping your CV shine when it's being read by AI, which is the new frontier for all of us.